Recently, I had a very interesting question around the process of manifestation that I wanted to share a little bit with you because I had a very obvious response to that, but I wanted to break it down a little bit for everyone as well. I find it a very interesting question. So the question was around how do we know that we are manifesting as opposed to just creating a delusion? Because so much of manifesting is around, kind of getting into a space of already having what we desire. And my response to that was that you will know because your life will be changing. When you are in a process of manifesting, your life will be changing. You will be seeing things happening and you will be noticing the difference and the change from before. I definitely notice in my life the difference as a kind of manifester. And I can tell you that although this is initially kind of feels like an obvious response, I want to tell you why it can often not be the case, why we don't see the change, and what could be happening there from my experience, at least, and what I see around me. So, one of the things that we understand and we need to understand with manifesting is that essentially we are asked to step into the energy, we lean into the energy of whatever it is we are manifesting. And that is something that requires both mental and emotional energy from us and the sort of our visualizing capacity, but particularly our feeling space. You need to feel it, you want to desire it, and you want to you lean into that. And you sort of put yourself in a situation where almost like a daydream, you experience yourself in that scenario, perhaps your new home or a new job or whatever that might be that you're manifesting. And that sort of action is great. But here's what interesting. It's very fun to do this if we don't like the circumstances we're in. And for a lot of people who might be maybe a little bit in sort of a little bit of an escapism from their life, it might be nice to stay there. But the difference where it turns into that manifestation being possible for people is that those who manifest are really ready to embrace the change that manifestation brings to the table. When we're manifesting new conditions, life, work, opportunities, whatever that is, it's really us saying yes to shift, yes to change, yes to new. And what do we know humans resist the most? Change. And so that's the bit where people don't jump on the opportunity when it comes their way, when the gifts of the universe starts to come your way, because they will come and they won't necessarily always be just what you asked. It would be a whole bunch of other things around it as well as that you want. What will happen is that you will be faced with a bunch of emotions around it. Stuff will come to the surface and it will be easy to sabotage it. And that happened to me almost. I sort of almost sabotaged moving into my new home, or being given my new home. Really, it was offered on us, and then there was a glitch, and then it was kind of fully offered to us. And I would just say let me use the example of my home. I have experienced some difficulties around, as a single parent, self-employed, even when I used to have a proper salary before. This is a very difficult city to get housing privately because there's so much competition and it's a sort of considered affluent area. And what happened, having had the bunch of experiences, when the opportunity came for me to move, and that was something I was manifesting, I kind of had a bunch of that old triggers come up and I had to deal with them and I had to work through them. When I did, and that cleared the way, it was a very clear offer and it was all going ahead. And here's how the whole thing manifested. I had come back from a trip with my son in the summer, saying to him, I'm really ready to move, really want us to move in a place with a garden. I kept on feeling the energy of that. I couldn't sort of stop myself from feeling that. And I felt I'm really ready, but it's going to be winter, so how about we wait until spring? And then my landlord gets in touch to say he was putting the rent up by £300 and it was not worth it at all. And I said, look, let's get moving. And I just manifested a new home in 5 days. This new opportunity, we did the viewing, everything was just so perfect about it. And just before it went ahead, I kind of, and I didn't have what they needed. Basically, we had the guarantor, but I didn't have the salary. I wasn't making 50K a year, and I had to get very clear, and ask my guards. I said, just be honest. And I said, look, we really love this home, but, we've got a guarantor, but I don't make the money, and somehow it still went ahead, and I kind of made a strong case about it, and I said, look, we're really ready for this. I know I can pay the rent. We've never had issues in the past ever with delaying rent, and and it just so happened that it was a good landlord. They accepted it. Now, if the fear of the past had stopped me, I wouldn't have made a case about it. I would have just kept on going with whatever. Like, I kept on hearing from estate agents, you're not earning enough money to get property here, and I and it just didn't make sense to me. So I just felt like I'm still gonna go for it. So I just had to, and that meant leaning into the energy of the new. I wanted to make that move, and B, doing the healing or the processing, doing the shadow work around the past. And this is a bit that of manifesting we don't talk about enough, the process of the shadow work or the working with our limiting beliefs. So if I expected the history of my past to inform how things were going to happen in the future, if I expected that, I wouldn't have been making a move and taking chances like this, but I live in a place of possibility as opposed to limitation. So that means that I will kind of like give it a go. And if it's a no, it's a no. It's not a big deal. Rejection is not such a bad thing as we make it be, But this is the important thing to understand. Healing and shadow work when you're manifesting is important, because things will come up and will be offered right in front of you. It will be there on a silver platter. And sometimes we will just not sort of see for what it is. So if that happens, you want to be prepared, and you want to be not just get to like into your process of manifesting where you forget, okay, how would your life to process this? How would your life change when you did that? What does that mean on a practical level? How is that going to show up? What is going to bring up for you? What are you going to miss from whatever you're leaving behind? How are you going to grieve that? There's all those things that we forget. And when it comes down to it, because humans, we sort of have issues with change, it can be so easy to keep on choosing the same and the same. And then the manifesting is not a process of really manifesting. It's a little bit more of a fantasy land for a minute or two to get you out of your kind of like, I guess, sameness, and routine. So bear that in mind and see where you might fit this description and where you might be around all this. And, and understand that manifesting is not as complicated as people make it, but it does require you to do your inner work. And once you do the inner work, it's not rocket science. Things should be moving for you, and you should be seeing changes in your life. But you need to make a commitment to that shift, to really living from a place of possibility, not just when you're manifesting, the majority of your time. I live in that place of possibility as much as I can every day, and I sort of take care of myself because of that as well. Like, I rest a lot, I take a lot of baths, I really take a lot of like comfort from my family life and from the grounded life I have at home. I love my work, so I really kind of try to take care of myself and what I have going in my life, so that I can continue to live in a place of possibility, right? And your energy is really important. So rest is really plays a very big part when it comes to manifesting, because when you're tired and exhausted all the time, it's very hard to experience yourself from a place of possibility and to really be feeling into kind of new, bigger, better, or more aligned things for you. Because it's not just about bigger, better, more. It's about what's more in alignment and what's closer to your heart. That's essentially what we're manifesting. And it's such a fun thing to do. Just bear that in mind, that it's not just about the visualizing aspect. It's about the kind of like what you're really ready to release. and what you're really ready to move out of, so that you have more of that new reality in your life. So I hope you find this useful, and I will speak to you some other time. Bye for now.